What's up, everybody? Welcome to Northport, Florida. This is a place you would expect to have homeless camps. Today, we're going to explore homeless camps in Northport and Port Charlotte. But could a place that's growing in Florida have homeless people? Let's find out. This area is known as one of the fastest growing regions in the United States. How could a region known for growing fast have homeless people, right? Now, Hurricane Ian did a lot of damage to this area less than a year ago, and you can still see signs of that. And that hurricane was a beast. You can see here in the woods how all these palm trees are all laying in different directions. Across from brand new apartments and living facilities, a nice suburban place like this, could there really be homeless camps here? Guys, I can already smell them. Take a close look at where we are. New buildings, new gas stations. I think that's like a really fast growing area here in Northport. I can already smell the homeless camp. Okay, I can already smell it. And that's usually the first sign that we're approaching a homeless camp, is that I can smell it. Now it's gonna be well hidden because this is a very fancy area. In fact, that tree covered in vines, you can smell it. You know, like that's the first sign. It's just a smell. It's like, it's a smell of human waste. Guys, the heat and humidity has been so unbearable lately. I would almost rather get rained on than be in 113 degree heat indexes. Now, there's actually people uploading videos from Africa showing how the clothes that you donate to these bins actually ends up being sold in Africa, not given to people that need it. So these things are a scam a lot of times. Something tells me, because this clothing drop-off thing is here, that there's gonna be a homeless camp. In fact, you can see the trailer garbage back in there. So yes, guys, it is possible that in these fast-growing suburban areas of Northport, Florida, there are homeless camps, and I've been hearing about it and I couldn't believe it. There's a trail through here. There's a lot of garbage and debris. And wherever this camp is, it is definitely very well hidden. But we're starting to see the signs that there's a homeless camp. You can see there's a book back there. I don't know how to get into this camp. I guess we're gonna have to try to walk around, but we're here. All right, guys, so to get to this camp, I've literally had to crawl. I'm literally crawling to reach this camp because it seems like it's very well hidden. And you know, there could be needles in the ground here. I don't know what's in here, but I'm literally crawling on my knees to enter this camp because I haven't been able to find the entrance for it. It's very well hidden. But I don't think I can even stand up here. These are all vines covered in thorns. Every last one of these vines is covered in thorns. And to reach this little spot here, I've literally had to crawl through the woods. And I don't know where the entrance to this crap is or the way out, but we're definitely in. You can see there's an old bag here with clothes. Touching this stuff without gloves is insane, but you can see there's clothes here. Mostly female clothes. So I'm gonna guess somebody made a donation and people have just been dragging the stuff in here, and it looks like they're crawling in and out. I haven't been able to find a trail really. I'm just crawling through this stuff really. You can see they've got pillows to sleep in here, and they're drying their pillows up top. But as you can see, we are literally in a forest, and these have thorns, so we have to be really careful. All these trees have thorns, really. This is a very easy way to get hurt, but we're approaching this camp. We're getting in here somehow. We're in it somehow. Okay. Wow, that's a... You can see how they're drying out pillows here. But perhaps to ensure the law enforcement does not discover this site, they've gone through the effort of meticulously hiding the entrances. And the way in is most likely going to be crawling underneath these plants. Most of the time, these homeless camps, they'll cut these things right off. This is probably a site that's been abandoned for a while. But nonetheless, the only way to really move through this stuff is to maneuver underneath like this, up underneath it. And I don't know if there's needles down here. Who knows what the crap is in here. Wow, you can see there's toilet paper there, food, bread. Wow, this is horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And you guys have asked me, why don't I bring a machete? I have a machete in the car. You're not allowed to bring weapons into certain types of properties in Florida because it could enhance a trespassing charge into a felony, and we don't want to do that. Now, my chest is all itchy. I don't know what the crap got on me, maybe poison ivy or poison oak. But deep in the woods here, there's people living in these woods. Now, they have to hide it. This isn't like in other counties where it's an open landfill you can see from the side of the road. It exists very discreetly, and you can see there's mosquitoes swarming all around me. It's about to start raining. This is quite literally a nightmare situation, but I want to find active camps. This one looks abandoned, so we got to keep searching. I literally just had a panic attack, which I don't have too often. Crawling underneath all this stuff, my heart's pounding. Once you get trapped like in the vines and stuff and can't get out, kind of a miniature panic attack there for me. That was scary. But on one side of the road you have a beautiful shopping plaza, and on the other side, well, this site right here originally had a homeless camp, but the homeless camp is gone. They like to build apartment complexes and new developments in the same places where homeless people want to be. I didn't find any homeless camps, but I did whatever the crap just happened to my chest. Look at that. It is so painful. I have no idea what it is. It's just really painful and itchy, really, really bad. I feel like a mosquito bit me, and next thing I knew, look how bad it got and how quick. It could also be a spider. Either way, it's pretty crappy and, well, fairly uncomfortable. Rainstorm coming down, guys. Fastest growing what? So allegedly this is the fastest growing area in the United States in 2022. You may have heard what's this guy, Revenue Insulting, and a few other YouTubers say Northport, the fastest growing area in the United States. Let me explain something to you. If 1,500 people live out in the woods and you build 50 new houses, now you got 2,400 people living out in the woods. Guess what? The population just grew 60%. Does that mean that this is a fast growing area? Well, the only thing growing fast around here is the weeds. When they say this was the fastest growing area in the United States, what they meant was, and now there's more people than there were before. But in reality, the vastness and emptiness of this place is overwhelming. I mean, these were roads that were plotted. And when they say Northport, the fastest growing city in the United States, this is what they don't show you. Yeah, the fastest growing area in the United States, sure. Maybe because it's so underdeveloped. All those realtors and YouTubers that say Northport and Port Charlotte is the fastest growing area in the United States, why don't they show you this? Why don't they show you this? The fact that the vast majority of these lots are empty. This is what entire sections of this area look like. Yet they got the nerve to call it the fastest growing area. You can see here a pair of shoes. This is somebody who was obviously homeless or transient, and it's just left their clothes here for some reason. And the clothes actually has some pretty interesting marks on it. It looks like it's clothes from Maryland. You can see there it's a Fishing Creek, Maryland. So this person here, you know, I guess they was just homeless camping. Well, on the actual road. There's no need to go in the woods. But this is the failure that is the vast majority of this region of Florida. Yet they want to put it out as one of the fastest growing regions. But in reality, we've traveled all over the country. And there's actually parts of California, parts of Texas that are growing way faster than this. The problem here in Florida is that they just built these massive grid patterns like this right here. And nobody ever built into these areas. They built the roads, they built the infrastructure, but the people actually never came. They told you the people were coming, but the reality is that entire grid patterns like this one here are nothing more than vacant, where you can barely even walk through these roads anymore. You can't drive a vehicle through here, you can barely walk anymore. And that's the reality of the fastest growing city in America in 2022. The reality is, well, here it is. You know? Creepy to be out here, really. What you can hear is people driving ATVs. You can hear them accelerating the distance. You'd probably be more likely to run into a black bear out here than you would a development site. About a year ago, I was looking to invest in empty land in Florida, and we actually found lots right here in Northport that were going for $12,000 a quarter acre. And many people have actually started to buy quarter acre lots in places like this, and then they'll live on their own land, which means that the police cannot really enforce them to leave because they own the land. Guys, so it literally just started to pour rain here. But I think I had mapped out some homeless camps back in this area. You can see here people have been dragging garbage and debris in here. So I'm gonna guess we're close to a homeless camp because I can already smell it. You can see a lot of debris here. And I can actually smell, again, that there's a homeless camp. You can see the debris, the typical artifacts that we see in these homeless camps are already out here. So bins right there, so somewhere back in here. All right, guys, so we're in the middle of a thunderstorm. I'm soaked from head to toe. I've been walking through the woods for a while now, and I know there's homeless camps around here. I just haven't been able to track down specifically where they're at. I can see there's garbage here, but I don't see any tents yet. So we're just gonna keep trying to find exactly where these camps are. Alright guys, so I'm going to try to record this video for you guys, even though it's pouring rain out here. You can see there's a suitcase here, and of course other articles that would suggest homelessness. Hand sanitizer, shoes, typical homeless camp stuff here. You can see this area here caught fire, and I wouldn't doubt for a minute that the reason this area caught fire is because of the people at the homeless camps. You can see here when the hurricane how the water just jammed up against this bridge right here. This would be a great bench for somebody that's homeless to sleep on. Hey, maybe the guy from Maryland opened up a seafood place, okay, Poppy? Oh, the thunder. Oh my, it's a scenic highway. However, how scenic. Oh my, this is a scenic highway here in Florida. Look at how. Yeah, you might see Nick in the woods in that tent down there or something. Can somebody tell me what the crap is scenic about this highway? You might see Nick running Ross Road down there, panhandling or something. Let me tell you, for a racetrack and a Circle K down there, not to have a bunch of homeless people hanging around, that's quite the achievement. Murder She Road, Murder She Road, Murder She Road, Murder She Road, Murder She Road. Ah! All right, guys, so this is an actual homeless coalition center. Let's see what's going on here. No trespassing after business hours. Okay. I don't know what their business hours are, but the fact that it says no trespassing after business hours, very, very concerning. That means, and there's actually a no loitering sign. All that would suggest that anybody hanging out here could actually be trespassed. Now, the reason I found this homeless coalition here, as well as a towaway sign, so it's interesting that here's a homeless camp. You know, if you're homeless, you go to a homeless coalition, but the homeless coalition has no trespassing signs on their business. So even though it's a homeless coalition, you know, they'll trespass and arrest people for being here. You know what's crazy? Our Little World preschool is across the street. However, the reason I found this particular place is looking through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement website, which showed that there is a homeless registered offender living in this empty lot right here. And it's crazy to think that you have a homeless registered offender living directly across from a preschool, and that even the homeless coalition has no trespassing signs in front of it. And I don't know if there really is a homeless camp out here, but one thing that I've noticed too at homeless camps is that people will put out cat food for the cats, but they won't feed the homeless people that live here. So I've seen this at many places where there's registered offenders, is people will put out food for the cats, but not for the people if there's a registered offender living. So we've seen this in Titusville. We've seen these at a few places. So what people do when they're a victim of a predator, and you know they have a problem with predators for some reason, is that they'll actually leave food out for animals exactly where those people live, as letting them know that they'll feed an animal, but they won't feed them. And those are people who for some reason have been traumatized or been victims of these crimes will do that, leaving food out for animals, but not for the people that are living there. So this is a very common thing I've seen in Florida. I'm going to guess it's people who've been victimized. And well, it's kind of a sign of disrespect for the people that are registered offenders. But you can see there's a single family home right here. My guess is that this homeless person probably lives in these woods in here. Finally have our first homeless camp directly across from the homeless coalition. So there's going to be people living back in these woods. You can see a pair of pants here. And this is a real homeless camp. It may not be elaborate because again, the cops will come and they'll slice up the tents. So they don't really make these camps too elaborate. But you can see we're definitely inside a homeless camp now. No, and the notion that the person living here is a registered offender only kind of adds to how creepy this site is. Because the reason we found this site wasn't because of the homeless shelter. We found it because we're at the Florida website for registered offenders. So somewhere in these woods is a registered Florida offender. Crazy to think, right? You can see how they're hanging clothes up on the trees to dry. So there's definitely people living here right now. And what are they spending their money on? You guessed it. You know, a lot of people have questioned the legitimacy of me going in these homeless camps, but dude, if you're a registered offender, I have the right to come in here and see what you're up to. This is filthy. Wow, this is disgusting. If you're a registered offender, nah, we got the right to come in here and see what you're up to. What are you doing? We got a right to audit these people and know what they're up to, because these are dangerous people. Be a threat to society. You can see here, paper, they throw books out. You know, are they using illegal substances? You can see, look at the pipe right there, piece of glass. These berries right here is a natural food for a lot of animals in Florida. And the homeless people collect these in a lot of areas and sell them. Now, it's illegal to do that in a lot of places in Florida, but they still do it. They sell these for like $1 a pound, and that's the natural food of a lot of animals here in Florida. You can see here that because they're close to this homeless coalition, that they're getting access to a lot of food. So you see a lot of cans in the woods. Lots of food cans everywhere. What makes this site interesting is there's more food here than other sites I go to. Most other sites I go to don't have as much food. But, you know, there's single family homes right up through here. And you can see I'm gonna have to put on a pair of gloves here soon if I keep exploring, but clothes everywhere. And again, somewhere in these woods is a tent. There really are homeless camps right here in good old Port Charlotte, Florida, Northport area. So there are blankets here, and a giant tree that fell with the hurricane just landed here. When it fell, it knocked down several trees. So you can imagine the force of this hurricane that's just dropped this giant oak tree and then push over the palm trees underneath it. Bent all these trees in the other direction. The tree fell this way, but the wind came back the other way and blew the trees in the other direction. So here you got trees falling in both directions. And there's some type of encampment here. You can see this is an actual kind of, they're using blankets and stuff because again the cops will come with a knife and cut their tent, so it doesn't make sense for them to make an encampment because they're just going to get destroyed. And once the camp gets destroyed, it just lets law enforcement know, you know, whatever. But you can see how here, deep in these woods, all they have is a blanket and another blanket, and they're sleeping just underneath these blankets. This isn't fancy. This is 2 blankets, and they sleep on the ground underneath the blankets. Yep, the cops came through and burnt their crap down. So there are, in fact, homeless camps in Northport and Port Charlotte. Even I didn't believe it when I heard it. You guys were telling me, and I couldn't believe it. But, so when next time you buy a piece of land in Florida on Google Maps and don't actually go out there and see it, it could easily be, well, a place like this. And you can see there's trails going that way, so this is actually a pretty big camp. These tents that have been cut up by the law, snake moving through there. Make sure, because it could have a homeless camp on it.